Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parajikacharya Ashtotar the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parajikacharya Ashtotar the Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavindra Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Janmastami Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashtapraresha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Okay. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this glorious Janmastami day, August 26, 2024, in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 33, Text 36. Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Dehimastitaha Bhajate Tadrishi Krida Yah Shudva Tatparo Bhavet Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Dehimastitaha Bhajate Tadrishi Krida Yashudva Tatparo Bhavet Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Dehimastitaha Bhajate Tadrishi Krida Yashudva Tatparo Bhavet Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Dehimastitaha Bhajate Tadrishi Krida Yashudva Tatparo Bhavet. Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Dehimastitaha Bhajate Tadrishi Krida Yashudva Tatparo Bhavet. Okay. Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Dehimastitaha Bhajate Tadrishi Krida Yashudva Tatparo Bhavet. Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Dehimastitaha Tadrishi Rishi Krida Yashudva Tatparo Bhavet. Ladies. Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Dehimastitaha Bhajate Tadrishi Krida Yashudva Tatparo Bhavet. Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Dehimastitaha Bhajate Tadrishi Krida Yashudva Tatparo Bhavet. Okay. Anugrahaya, to show mercy. Bhaktanam, to his devotees. Manusham, human-like. Deham, a body. Astitaha, assuming. Bhajate, he accepts. Tadrishi, such. Kridaha, pastimes. Yaha, about which. Shudva, hearing. Tatparaha, dedicated to him. Bhavet, one becomes. Translation. When the Lord assumes a human-like body to show mercy to his devotees, he engages in such pastimes as will attract those who hear about them to become dedicated to him. Purport, I'm going to read part of it here. Srila Jiva Goswami explains in his connection, this is of course latter part of the 10th canto, translation and commentary by Hridayanath Das Goswami. Srila Jiva Goswami explains in this connection that when Lord Krishna descends to this world in his original two-handed form, out of kindness he manifests that form in a way his devotees conditioned in human society can perceive and understand. Thus here it is said, Manusham dehamasitaha. He assumes a human-like body. Om jnana timirandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu urmilitam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Shri Parampara. So in case there's any confusion about this idea of him assuming a human form, that's his original form. But he manifests in such a way that it even seems more human. He grows up, right? He cries when his mother is binding him, and he manifests very many human-like characteristics. That's the idea here. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Urmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Shri Parampara. So, the reason I picked this verse, which is not often chanted in relation to Krishna's appearance, this comes at the very end of the Rasa dance, is because I was contemplating that what is it about Janmastami that is so attractive and so significant. I think that the first thing is that Krishna is showing such mercy to us by appearing and enacting his pastimes. We may not reflect on it very much, but he appears in this way once every 24 hours of Brahma's life, right? Once every day. 24 hours, which is 8,640,000,000 years. So, are we kind of fortunate? Only 5,000 years? It's like a split second compared to 8 billion. So here we are in Kali Yuga, but it is the special Kali Yuga which comes after the Dwapara Yuga when Krishna appears. And it is also the special Kali Yuga, of course, when Lord Chaitanya appears. Krishna appears in that form. So just think how fortunate we are, just for a second. Very, very, very fortunate to have that. And not only that, but to have an opportunity to hear the most important shastras in the universe, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, as given by a pure devotee of the Lord, so that we can actually become attracted to Krishna and to the process of devotional service and actually go back to Godhead. So that's one, I just wanted to emphasize that. And in conjunction with this verse, there's another verse that you may not be familiar with, which is near the end of chapter 4 of the 12th canto. That chapter is quite a bracing chapter. It's a very sobering chapter. It's about different kinds of annihilations, including our own personal little annihilation when we die. But, contemplating the annihilation after Brahma's day, partial annihilation, then the full annihilation. And so after all of that, there's this beautiful nectar verse describing the importance of becoming attracted to Krishna Leela. And this is 12th canto, chapter 4, text 40. Sangsara sindhu madidustada murti tirshor nanyak plavo bhagavatak purushottamasya. Lila katha rasa nishevanam antarena pungso bhaved vivida dukkha davarditasya. For a person who is suffering in the fire of countless miseries and who desires to cross the insurmountable ocean of material existence, there is no suitable boat other than cultivating a taste for the narrations, for the transcendental taste for the narrations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's pastimes. And so this verse matches with the other verse. It's kind of complementary. Krishna appears in order to renew the memory of his eternal pastimes. He's enacting them, right? And the devotees are seeing them, they're remembering, they appear in the Srimad Bhagavatam especially. And that gives us subject matter to attract us away, because they're especially the childlike, human-like pastimes, they're very similar to common things. But they have that special quality of Krishna's presence there, and how he is engineering everything to increase the love for him of his devotees and those who hear, who are there, and those who hear about him. So I thought I'd give these two verses before reading a little account of Krishna's appearance and how that is also part of the wonderful Leela. Now, before I do that, I'd like to share with you something you probably haven't heard before. And this is the first, not the first verse, maybe the fourth verse of the Leela Chanda by Rupa Goswami. Now, Leela Chanda is a summary of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela in a wonderful poetic form. And I remember I came across this back in 1978, I think, where after Krishna Krata Prabhu had translated it, and he would make photocopies of it for me. And it's a wonderful way to contemplate Krishna's pastime, because it's summary form, but all in this beautiful Sanskrit poetry. So I couldn't resist. I wrote a few poems at the beginning of some of the verses, and here's one. Here's one of the introductory verses, Mangalacharan. Mulod kata vidayini bhavatador krishnani tishnakshi. I'll spare you all the Sanskrit, but here's my little poetic version. Words that tell of your glorious deeds are a river of nectar, O Lord of my heart. And from those who drink deep at that river, desires for other words quickly depart. Sages they are, chakravaka birds playing, those who drink at the river of talks about you. Uprooting the huge tree of death and rebirth, that river their faith ever freshens anew. Waves churn that river, exchanges of love as you sport with your dear ones, your pure devotees. Bubbling and rippling and murmuring sweetly, that stream delights all with divine melodies. O Krishna, O fount of sweet nectarous pastimes, O you whose great deeds should be heard and then sung, may the river of poetry, limning your glories, flow into my heart and then over my tongue. And so now, maybe many of you, do you know the word lim? L-I-M-N? Maybe you don't know it, so now you're going to learn it. It means to describe. And so since it rhymed with something that in this verse, anyways, it needed that. So this is, and then just to give you a taste of this wonderful Leela Chanda, which is available in the Vedabase. I put it up on the Vedabase. It's for free. You can see it, including the little poems I wrote at the beginning. So now I'm just going to give you a taste of the wonderful, incredible poetry that Rupa Goswami wrote, describing Krishna's pastimes, which is, and getting a taste for them is the only boat for crossing over the ocean of birth and death. So this is what the acharyas have done. They've described Krishna's Leela, name, form, qualities, pastimes in such a way that it's even more attractive and can easily enthuse us and trance our mind. So here's how he begins his description. He goes through all the Vrindavan Leela. This is the first. It's just in summary. Nija Mahamamandali Vatavasati Rochanam Vadana Vidumaduri Ramadapitalochanam. Shutinapanabusoda Vadabeheda Jatakam Tonadalatarpita Swajanaganda Chatakam. Subhavedadana Krid Janakakuttakautakam and Nikalapasupavali Samabadati Yautakam. Jani Samayamandati Kutapudashayoshitam and Rajani Rasagorasa Chapada Janatoshidam. Bahola Dadipankali Kutabila Sadanganam Ramadabadalodita Pakadanadadanganam. Janakapaditoshita Spadakadaballivam Vajajanada Padmaja Vibavabadaballavam. Okay, and then he goes into, that's the description of the birth, which I'll just read the translation of. Then he includes here the description of killing Putana, because that's the first demon he kills, right? So that's also in this first this verse. So let me read this sweet little translation of summary of Krishna's birth. Okay. O fickle mind, please worship the Prince of Braja, who with his own splendid glory beautified the transcendental abode of Braja, who with the sweetness of the moon of his face delighted the eyes of his parents, whose name-giving ceremony was performed by many Brahmins expert in the Vedas, whose monsoon cloud transcendental form pleased the Chataka birds of his relatives, whose father performed the great festival of many different kinds of charity, who received gifts from all the cowherd people, whose birth celebration was observed by many nicely decorated men and women, whose birth celebration was a time when the people became pleased by throwing milk, yogurt, and turmeric mixed with water. And so much so that the splendid courtyard became muddied with a great abundance of yogurt. At that birth ceremony, the women openly danced with great happiness, and his father pleased all the splendid cowherd people, and the great opulence of the goddess of fortune fully blossomed in the land of Braja. So you go to Krishna book and you see that's nicely described at the beginning. And what I wanted to emphasize here, but before I do that, let me just read Prabhupada's description in the Krishna book, which is so attractive also, obviously. No, I'm going to read from his description in the 10th canto. This is chapter 1, beginning text 17. Once when Mother, okay, this is the run-up to Krishna's appearance. And you may remember that Mother Earth was so disturbed, she took the form of a cow, like that. Once when Mother Earth was overburdened by hundreds of thousands of military phalanxes of various conceited demons dressed like kings, she approached Lord Brahma for relief. Mother Earth assumed the form of a cow. Very much distressed, with tears in her eyes, she appeared before Lord Brahma and told him about her misfortune. Thereafter, having heard of the distress of Mother Earth, Lord Brahma, with Mother Earth, Lord Shiva, and all the other demigods, approached the shore of the ocean of milk. After reaching the shore of the ocean of milk, the demigods worshipped the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, the master of the whole universe, the supreme God of all gods, who provides for everyone and diminishes everyone's suffering. With great attention, they worship Lord Vishnu, who lies in the ocean of milk, by reciting the Vedic mantras known as Purusha Sukta. Now that word Sukta is an interesting word. It means Su-Ukta, beautiful words describing the Supreme Purusha. Ukta, Su-Ukta. Combines make Sukta. While in trance, Lord Brahma heard the words of Lord Vishnu vibrating in the sky. Thus he told the demigods, O demigods, hear from me the order of Kshirodakshai Vishnu, the Supreme Person, and execute it attentively without delay. He informed the demigods, before we submitted our petition to the Lord, he was already aware of the distress on earth. Consequently, for as long as the Lord moves on earth to diminish its burden by his own potency in the form of time, all of you demigods should appear through plenary portions as sons and grandsons in the family of the Yadus. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who has full potency, will personally appear as the son of Vasudeva. Therefore, all the wives of the demigods should also appear in order to satisfy him. The foremost manifestation of Krishna is Sankarshan, who is known as Ananta. He is the origin of all incarnations within this material world. Previous to the appearance of Lord Krishna, this original Sankarshan will appear as Baladev, just to please the Supreme Lord Krishna in his transcendental pastimes. Okay, and then he goes on. So this is the setup just before the appearance of the Lord. Now, one thing I wanted to just contemplate about these pastimes that Krishna engages in, especially in Vrindavan, all attractive. First of all, the appearance happens when there's a kind of a crescendo of anxiety for him to appear, isn't it? Now think about what happened when Lord Chaitanya appeared. He appeared because Advaita Acharya was so troubled. And his name is Hunkar. You know what Hunkar means? He's shouting as loud as he can. That's a Hunkar. And please appear. He's worshipping the Shalagram Shila, right? And with Ganges water and leaves of Tulsi. And praying. Because there he is sitting in Navadvip, But Navadvip before Lord Chaitanya came was a scene of great erudition and study, but it was all Nyaya and this and that. There wasn't much pure bhakti. There were devotees were there, but they were in a secondary position. So Advaita was witnessing, and not just there, that the whole world needed Krishna personally. So he prayed from the bottom of his heart with great anxiety. And later on, Lord Chaitanya said, "I was sleeping nicely when you called me and you woke me up." As Chirodakta Vishnu Mahavishnu. And so I came down. I had no choice, So Krishna comes either as himself or later as Lord Chaitanya. And again, Lord Chaitanya appears after Krishna appears, once every day of Brahma. So here we are, not 5,000 years, but only 500 some odd years, 35, 40 years now, since Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya, to give the most feasible means in the Kali Yuga to actually become purified and approach him and go back to Godhead, right? The congregational chanting of the holy names. So what is the central fact, or the uniting fact in all of these appearances? And not only his appearances, but also in his pastimes, which I'll explain in a minute. And that is that Krishna is cultivating and waiting for his devotees to become desperate for him, right? He's churning the ocean of their emotion so that they'll have no other shelter, they'll have no other recourse but to call out to Krishna. In other words, he's increasing their emotional attachment. And in that calling out, all without any material desires are completely cast away. You're simply focused on Krishna. And that's also what Lord Chaitanya taught. The whole process of separation and meeting, right? This, which is the essence of his teachings of the highest bhakti. So what does that mean? It means that even the gopis, and this first verse I read, the ones that's on the board, comes at the end of the rasa dance. So what happens in the rasa dance, right? You remember? So Krishna he promised them after the Katyayani and the stealing of the clothes, right? That you will enjoy with me later, in its husband and wife kind of relationship. And then, so it said that it had to be a year later because he was waiting for that full Sharat season moon, So then he calls them with the flute. He's out in the forest, and they rush out. They leave their babies, they leave their husband, they leave whatever they're doing. And so he comes out. But then what does he do? He teases them, right? He increases their anxiety and emotion. He says, "Oh, it's very nice. Why have you come? How can I help you?" He says, "What, are you kidding me? You just called..." And so then he's saying, and it's very good for a woman to remain chaste to her husband, otherwise she can't go to heaven. And it's dangerous out here. There's all these animals and everything. So now you've seen the forest, now you can go back. But they didn't go back. Unlike the Brahmin's wife, they did leave. They weren't on the same level. So then they start scratching the ground with their toes, and the tears are coming and washing off the kajal and everything, And they plead with Krishna. They chastise him. You called us out here, you lighted the fire, with your flute and everything in our hearts. Now you have to extinguish it, with your pastimes and that. So he's teasing them. Then after they're appealing, then they start the rasa dance. But what happens? They didn't start the rasa dance. They started wandering on the bank of the Yamuna, right? It was all very blissful. But they became a little proud. Boom! He disappears. Now what do? They become mad at separation. They start wandering. They're asking, the bushes and the grass and the trees, have you seen Krishna? Where is him? We can smell the fragrance of his garland. He must be nearby. The whole thing is completely in heavy separation. And they can't find him, and so they start enacting his pastimes. I am Krishna, right? Just to feel the presence of Krishna. Finally, they go back to the bank of the Yamuna, and they start singing this song, which is kind of the crown jewel of all the prayers in the whole Bhagavatam. Jayate dedikam janmanavrajak shayate indara shashvaratrihi dayate drishyatam dikshutavakas tvahitva dasabas tvam bachinvate. And that wonderful prayer encompasses all different moods. At one point they're chastising Krishna. Who but a cheater like you would leave women in the middle of the night? We left our husband, Patisudan, but then they pray, please come back. So this is the, and after some time of just chanting, it's the shortest chapter in the Bhagavatam, actually. And if you look at the old Krishna book, it was so short that the first editors, they compounded that with the previous chapter. So instead of 90 chapters in the Krishna book, we ended up with 89. Even though Prabhupada, at the end of each chapter, he says, thus ends chapter 58 of the Krishna book. And they said, why 58? It's only 57. So they would change the number. Anyway, I broke it out when I did the Krishna book. The problem was that Prabhupada, maybe it turned out some confusion with the tape. Even though it's only 19 verses, he only did about 15 of them. So it's really, really short. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the point is that Krishna, in his pastimes, he's always engineering things so that his devotees are raised to a very high pitch of emotion and need for him. All these demons come. And so you remember when he doesn't kill Kaliya, he chastises Kaliya, but that was such an incredible thing. Here's this little delicate little boy. They don't know he's God, and they look out, and here's this monstrous dragon, really, because some fire was coming out, multicolored cobra, and in one of his coils is little Krishna, delicate little Krishna. And the mother, all the gopis, and the elder and the younger gopis, the cat, all of the animals are on the bank, and they're all lamenting. Mother Yashoda tried to enter in to the poison lake, and they stopped her. Everyone but Balaram was upset. Balaram was laughing because he knew there was really no danger. He stopped them from going in. After a while, was it 2 hours? When he saw that they were practically on the point of death, then he jumps out, he breaks out, and he dances this wonderful dance on Kaliya. The demigods are playing the drums, celebration. So you can imagine the relief, the overflow of love and relief that this was happening. And when he walked out, they all embraced him, each one of them, oh, thank God, So when you see Krishna's Vrindavan Leela, he's always doing that. Even just the daily pastimes. He's going out into the forest with his friends and the cows, to play. So Mother Yashoda is all in anxiety. This is because he doesn't wear any shoes. He refused to add shoes. The pastime is shoes. She wanted to give him shoes. He said, well, the cows don't have shoes. If you make the cows' shoes, it's like 100,000 cows times 4. Then I'll wear the shoes. All right, no shoes. But she's always worried he's going to step on some. Have you ever tried walking? Around Govardhan, it's pretty, without any shoes. You usually get some kind of little injury, right? But so that's just one thing, and then the demons come, and he's worried. And so when the evening comes, it starts to get a little dark. Then they go up to the top of the house. They have a little thing up there where they can all look far into the forest and say, "Oh, look! Isn't that the dust? Ooh, do you hear? That seems to be the flute sound. Oh, Krishna's coming!" And there's this whole song, and Ashtaka is written about Krishna's returning to Braja, and that happens every day. So this separating and meeting. And so what my whole point is that Krishna is a maestro. He's like arranged this play. It's all Leela, right? To increase and intensify the emotion of the Brijbasis for him, and not only with them, but also, we should also enter into that. I was contemplating on the word turnam. Turnam means immediately. Right? So the famous verse, Chaktva Turnam Ashesha Mandalapati Sheni Sada Tuchavat. This is number 4 or 5, I think it's 4, of the Ashika about the 6 Goswamis. And this one describes how, this is, three of them was really super opulent. Of course, Sanatan, Rupa, and also Raghunath Das Goswami, right? And so here it's describing, it doesn't specify those, but those are especially pertains to. So Tyaktva Turnam, they immediately gave up what? Ashesha Mandalapati Sheni. And this is Rupa and Sanatan. They were prime minister, finance minister. They were right and left hand of the king. They had all kinds of opulence and pomp and everything they wanted, aristocracy. So they gave it up without wasting any time. Immediately after they met Lord Chaitanya. Remember, he came to Ramkeli, and he came there. They offered that prayer. What's the prayer? We can all chant together. Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Tvije Namaha. I offer my obeisances unto the supremely munificent Lord. Some Prabhupada would use the word magnanimous to mean munificent. It doesn't exactly mean the same, but that's the idea. Why is he supremely munificent? Because he's giving the most valuable thing. Not liberation, love of God, which includes liberation. Krishna prema padayate. Krishna is Krishna himself, with the name of Krishna Chaitanya and the golden complexion. So that they compose it on the spot. And he told them, okay, give it all up and go to Vrindavan, and you write there, you know, the science, I'll instruct you, and also excavate the places of pastime, you know. And, you know, they did. Rupa was able to resign, apparently without too much difficulty. He cashed out. You remember how much money he had? A whole boatload of gold. How much is that worth today? Billions. Yeah, and he carefully divided it, right, in 3 sections. Half of it he gave to the Vaishnavas and the Brahmins. A quarter of it he gave to his relatives. Prabhupada says, because they expect something. It means that they'll cause a lot of trouble if they don't get anything. And then a quarter of it he kept for emergency. And there was an emergency, Sanatan was arrested, you remember? So, but the point is, they immediately, without wasting time, without thinking, should I or shouldn't I? Maybe I should give it up slowly. I don't want to do anything. Turnam Mishesham. And another one is, use of the word is, Labdva sudurlam abhidam bahusam bhavante manushyam artadam anityam apiya dhira. Turnam yateta napateta namrityayava nikshayasaya vishaya kalusarvatakshat. This is one of the many verses, several, maybe a half dozen in the Bhagavatam, in which it is enjoining us to don't waste time, don't waste your human life. Nirdeham adyam sulabham. Another one's about the boat. This is, Krishna speaks it himself. But this is very rare and birth, which is a perfect boat for crossing over the ocean of birth and death, the human body especially. But you need a captain for the boat. Who's the captain? Who knows? The guru, the spiritual master. And what are the favorable winds pushing the boat across the sea? Krishna's words, the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita. And all of the Bhagavatam is also his words, written by Vyasadeva. And of course he appears there, Uddhava Gita. So, but this other one says, you have attained this human form of life after many, many births. And then there's a play on words. I'm sorry, no play. Labdva sudurlabham, very difficult to attain, very rare human form. Bahusambhavanta, after many, many births, manusham, artadam. Only in this form can you achieve this ultimate goal of life, the arta. Sometimes called svarta, the goal of the soul, because we have so many illusory goals pertaining to the body, illusory identity. But this is your actual goal, artadam. But like all, it's anityam. It's not permanent, it's temporary. So one has to be dhira. This is a key phrase. Thoughtful, you see. And having thought it out very carefully, turnam yateta. Now, without wasting any time, strive for what? Nikshayasa. Not the prayas, the immediate pleasures of the skin, or maybe you put it off, you'll work very hard and then you'll really get pleasures of the skin. No, forget that. Turnam yateta means to strive. Sometimes a sannyasi is called a yati, someone who is always striving. Yateta napate, as long as you haven't died yet, napate anumritya yavad, strive for what? Nikshayasa. He emphasizes, not the shreyas, but the ultimate good, vishaya kalusarvata, because you've experienced all these sense gratifications in all other forms of life already. Why waste time? You see? So this urgency of kicking out all of the things that are slowing us down and impediments that we're not serious enough, thinking, well, I have time. We may not have time, I heard this incredible memorial yesterday, those who were here, about Kamala Sundari. What an incredible devotee she was. And maybe if you didn't hear this was really amazing. There's 2 things. One, which was kind of a miracle, and I was very gratified when myself, Humanopati, and Pavamana went down. Sanjay called us. It seemed that a few weeks ago she might be passing, soon, within an hour or 2 hours. So they urged us to come down to Benita, where she lived, and to sing, to do a kirtan. So we went there, and she was on the bed. She had the oxygen monitor, because, And, they were chanting. They had probably tape playing, of course, So after maybe 15 minutes, we went in and we did a kirtan. They asked me to sing. And Prabhupada also sang, and then I sang. So I noticed as I was chanting Hare Krishna that she was trying to join in. She was mouthing the words. I don't know if she was actually, but she was enlivened by it. That was the point. So then after time we stopped, and then amazingly Bhadrinarayan Swami came just as we were leaving. So he also came, and there was a nice interaction there. I think she did a Hari Bol for him, and she was very enlivened, And she told him he should put tilak on her too, which we didn't notice, but she did. So then, a week or two later, she left her body, and we went to the memorial and everything. But then there was another memorial in the temple yesterday, and her sons and also her husband spoke at length about her life, and her passing. And the one thing that I couldn't help feeling, I don't know if you heard this, Pop, but they had been measuring her oxygen, and it was way down. I mean, I didn't know she could live with this, with like 35% of what it's supposed to be, that's why they called us. So after the kirtan, they measured it again. It was up to normal, 95. I don't know how that happened, but from the kirtan. But most amazingly, they said when she actually breathed her last, the kirtan was going, her face lit up. It was like effulgent, and the wrinkles all left, and she looked like 20 years younger. I'd never heard of anything like that. And I just felt so privileged to hear about that, But the point is that, and we've had such wonderful disappearances. I mean, they oftentimes ask me to sing. Some of you were there with Radhanath Prabhu when we left in the hospital. He voluntarily left. They said, "Well, you're stable now, but you have to stay on this breathing machine." He said, "Forget that," because he would go out. Amazingly, he was so sick, he was lying, and he would go out to distribute books in that scene. You know who got a book? Balaram and his mother. They got the book. That was the first book he got, right, about Krishna. And when they were there in the hospital room, and I remember Rohini, just going up to him and thanking him profusely, for what he did. So what the theme here is that Krishna's appearance, the whole pastime itself is so ecstatic and wonderful to contemplate, what was going on. But if you study his pastimes, you'll see that he is engineering these high emotions where the devotees have no other recourse but to call on him in great desperation. You remember, the Kaliya pastime was one. So then he dances on the Kaliya snake and chastises him, doesn't kill him because of the wonderful prayers of his wives, right, the wives of Kaliya. And then he's gone. But then he comes out of the water, and they embrace him one after another, and it's such an incredible relief, love, and tears flowing everywhere. And then it was late, so they stayed on the bank. They camped out. But what happened? Big fire comes. You remember? So how much can we take in one day, Fire comes and the fire is burning. Oh, Krishna, save us, save us, save us. So he swallows the fire, So the Leela are like that. He is. It's never become just humdrum, routine. There's always something going on, some adventure that's happening. The boys, they're playing with Krishna, but then Bakasura comes. Oh my God, who is this? He swallows Krishna. Oh my God, and then he comes out. Oh, thank God. Oh, Krishna. So we need to. I was thinking about the chanting of japa, and prayer, and I'll end here in a little bit, and that the process of prayer. What is the prayer? First of all, Prabhupada said, what does the Hare Krishna mantra mean? It's a call on the Lord. It's a prayer for Him. Please engage me in your service, right? So it's a prayer by the means of calling out directly, the purest prayer there can be, the Hare Krishna mantra. So that's one thing. But there's also so many prayers in the Bhagavatam and elsewhere. And the real prayer that the devotee has, we're not praying for anything material. But we're praying for purity. We're praying for the strength to give this up and take that on. We're praying simply for pure love for God. And one of my favorites is from Queen Kunti, her prayers. Prabhupada loved those prayers. In fact, there's a wonderful recording, I don't know if you've heard of it, of him chanting all the Sanskrit. And my favorite one is this, Tvayame Ananda Vishaya, Mati Madhupate Sakrit Ratamud Bhatada Dha Gange Vaugumudanvati, which I'll give you my little poet rendition in a minute. But the last line describes that my love for you, I want it to flow just as the Ganges flows into the sea. Now, anytime a major river flows into the sea, that's its most powerful flow, right? So it's a torrent at that point. And Prabhupada, when he's chanting this, on that verse, that last line says, Gange Bao Gangudanmati. He's personifying the flow of the river. It's really quite touching. So what is she praying for? After all of this, recounting, this is near the end of her prayers, and where she prays, we had so much difficulty, so much hardship. Let them happen again and again. I'd rather have that than you leave now and we don't see you anymore because the war is over and he's going back to Dwarka, So that Vipadak Santu Takshashvat Tattva Tattva Jagadguru. I was saying, boy, I really can't pray like that. Not yet. I don't have that. But what a courageous prayer. I don't care about the dangers, because the danger is, and we call on you with desperation, and you appear and you save us. So better have that. So in this prayer, she says, Tvayame Ananda Vishaya Mati Madhupate Sakrit Ratamun Vahatara Dha Gange Vaugumudanvati. O Madhava, please ever fill my mind with thoughts of thee, not any other kind. As Ganges torrent flows into the sea, let all my love flow constantly to thee. And then you have so many prayers I've pulled out from the writings of the Goswamis. And one of them is really classic. I mean, they're all like that, but this one I often give in the class. Manasijapani dushte, labdapatosmi dushte, timandagahana rupe, hanta, sangsara kupe, ajita nikala raksha heta mundara duksham, upanayama mahaste, bhakti rajun namaste. Fallen in this deep and dark and dirty well of Maya, threatened by the snake of lust, whose venom burns like fire. Helplessly I pray, O Lord, whose strength is ne'er in doubt, place the rope of bhakti in my hands and pull me out. So it's really deep, because, first you're recognizing the situation we're in. And this is Rupa Goswami. And he's really writing for us, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Narottam Das Thakur, they sing so many songs. Now they really feel like that I have no love for you, but please give me, like that. But here Rupa Goswami, he's in that mood of teaching us how to pray. And that rope of bhakti, So we've been also given the rope of bhakti. What do we have to do? Hold on tight. We have to hold on to that rope by strictly following, by surrendering. 6 symptoms of surrender and following carefully. So this kind of prayer, though, puts us in the right frame of mind. Just like that Naprema Shavanadi Bhaktirad, there's a famous prayer by Sanatana Goswami included in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I have no love for you. I have no powers of yoga. I don't really have any attraction for hearing and chanting. But, oh Lord, you are the Hinartarika Sadhake. You are the friend, the uplifter of the most fallen. And therefore I have this unbreakable hope that you will bestow upon me this prema bhakti, you see. So that that one time, Prabhupada was up in front of the deities, in a greeting, and a devotee saw him. He was staying there, or maybe he came into the temple, and he seemed to be praying like anything, he's praying. And so a devotee afterward, he asked him, well, what were you praying for, Srila Prabhupada? He said, I was praying that I don't fall into Maya. What? You're a pure devotee, you can't fall into Maya. I know, because I'm always praying. If you're always chanting in that mood of calling out to Krishna, please engage me in your service, protect me, then you will be protected. That's the safest place to be. So cultivating that and reading Krishna's pastimes in that mood, you'll see that there's churning the different emotions. We're going to coming up on the wonderful Kartik month. So what's going on there? I mean, it could have been just an ordinary day where his mother just suckled him, like that. But it was arranged in such a way that she was boiling some special milk. The background of the pastime, it's not in the Bhagavatam. that, Krishna was going to these other gopis' houses looking for the yogurt and the milk products, So Mother Yashoda said, well, he's not satisfied with our milk products. So what can I do? So she had these special cows, which were eating this special grass, and their milk was just super tasty and very fragrant and everything. So she took that milk and she started, boiling it and heating it for Krishna. So then he stops her. He stops her from churning. Then she's churning yogurt as the more is boiling. And the painting had it wrong, because from the Krishna book he wanted it to. So he's just pulling on her sari, but actually he grabbed the churning rod and wouldn't let her churn. That's in the Bhagavatam. And so obviously he wanted to suck her breast. So okay, so then he's sucking the breast. But then the milk started boiling over, and then she ran off, and Krishna became angry, broke the pot, ran off. And the whole thing is engineered like that. And then he gets to feed the monkeys, right? And he feeds them, and then they get full and they don't want any more. So he said, what use is this yogurt? Even the monkeys won't eat it. That's it. I think it's in the Krishna book or somewhere. So the whole thing is there, and then finally she finds him, and then he runs. Now obviously he could have run faster and just run off to some other planet, but no, he's the whole pastime, to increase her desire, and then she finally catches him, which is also the whole, the commentators say she caught him not because of her love, he slowed down, whatever, and she binds him. We sing in the song. He's binding him with the love. First he doesn't let her bind him. There's a miracle. She can't bind him. Then finally, when I first read this, this was in the Krishna book, of course, and I noted that the critical phases of the pastime are all signaled by flowers falling from her hair. She's running after Krishna, and the flowers are falling, and the flowers start falling from her hair. She catches him, and then when she's tying him, then she can't tie him, but then the flowers fall from her hair, and she lets her to tie her. It's kind of like an offering of flowers. So it's such a sweet pastime. We sing it every morning. That wonderful Damodar Ashtaka, and it's ever fresh. And why is it ever fresh? Because it's Krishna's pastimes. It never becomes stale, And if you study, you study the pastimes, you see that there's all different kinds of emotions and heightening of emotions within each pastime. So we should recognize that, and in our chanting of japa, which is our main sadhana, to enter into it as a prayerful mood, that we're really desperate, and we're calling out to Krishna, please show mercy, give me more attraction for the holy name. I remember when I was in these japa retreats, in the early aughts, there was 5 or 6 of them, and Divyambar, who was running them, she invited me. Did you ever go to one? Yeah, we were. Was there one where Rasagya was there? Up in Joshua Tree, right? Yeah. Anyway, so as I was chanting, and one wonderful thing about these retreats is that there's a whole day is spent just thinking about chanting Hare Krishna. There's lectures, there's practice, there's your friend, right? And then there's a 64 round day. We just try to chant. So anyway, with all this immersion in the holy name, this idea came to my mind, is that you can pray to the holy name through the holy name. By chanting, you can also be praying to the holy name. What are you praying for? Rupa Goswami is teaching us. Naradavino jivana sudomini yasamaruri pura tvam krishnanam kamam spodame vasane vasena sada. Now some of you may notice there's a devotee's name in there, Madhuri Pura, the son of Prahlada Priya. Very wonderful kirtaniya he's developed into. He's short stature, but well built. He's been down here a couple of times. So and why did he get that name for Vaisheshika? Because the names that he flowed is like a flood of sweet nectar, of sweet, thick, honey-like nectar when he chants. So this prayer by Rupa Goswami says, "Oh, holy name, you are the inspiration for the Vina of Narada Muni, Narada Vino Jivana, life and soul. Sudormini Yasamadari Pura, you're like a flow, a river of thick, sweet nectar, Please, Sudormini Yasamadari Pura, Tvam Krishna Namakam, if you please, O holy name." This is the idiom in Sanskrit. Kamam, it means please, if you please. O holy name. Please when I chant you, please appear on my tongue and manifest all your sweetness. Let me always taste the nectar of chanting you, and the rasa. So, and there's another one in there. Agadamana Yeshua, this is Namashtaka by Rupa Goswami. He's praying for a great taste for the holy name. Agadamana Yeshora Nanda Sunu Kamalanayana Gopi Chandra Vrindavanendra. Panadakaruda Krishna Vityaneka Swarupe Tvaimamadaduchaya Vardatam Namadeha. So he gives sample names, different names. Agadamana, the killer of Agasra. Yashoda Nandana, Nandasuna, the son of Yashoda and Nanda. Kamalanayana, you of the lotus eyes. Gopi Chandra, the moon that causes the Chatika birds of the gopis' eyes to blossom, the moon of the gopis. And then my favorite, Pranata Karuna, you who are most merciful to the surrendered souls. And of course, Krishna. Your names have no end in these various. So, Krishna, Ityaneka Swarupe, Tvai Mama Rataruchai Vardatam Namadeha. Oh, holy name, O Namadeha. Please increase my taste for you more and more. It's just a prayer to the name, to that, you'll increase the taste. And the name is not different from Krishna. So, this is the essence of our practice, is really prayerful, prayer. We're living prayerfully that we can advance in devotional service, feel more and more love for Krishna, and get out of this material world, back to Godhead. And so each activity, each move, each breath is meant to be full of Krishna consciousness and this ardent desire to perfect our love for Krishna, or to be blessed with love for Krishna, and finally to go back home, back to Godhead. I've gone over time as I had want to do. I'm sorry. We don't have time for any questions because they're going to open that curtain in 1 minute. We'll have more discussion tonight. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol. Shri Janmastami ki jai.